Hey everyone, welcome back to the Say It With Simplicity channel. If you're new here, I'm Connie, and I'm all about sharing design ideas, tips, and working inside Silhouette Studio. In today's video, we're going to create a beautiful gingham pattern from scratch, save it to our library, and use it for a simple design. Now I know what you might say, but Connie, this sounds like it's a hard technique for me. But let me tell you, this is super easy, and I promise that I'll go slow so that you can learn how to do this on your own. Plus, you'll learn some other Silhouette Studio tips along the way. So let's dive into Silhouette Studio and get started at creating our very own gingham pattern. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go up and I want to start a new page. Now, there's always more than one way to do stuff in Silhouette Studio, so you could go up to File, New, or you could simply click on this little plus sign right here. And so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to click on the little plus sign, and that is going to open our page setup panel. Now there's a few very important things that we need to do in this page setup panel before we continue on. So I have it set to my machine, the Cameo 4 Cutting Mat Cameo, and this is where we want to put our focus right here on this media size. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mouse over to highlight my width, and I'm going to make it 6, and I'm going to mouse over my height, and I'm going to make it 6. Because I want to create a 6x6 media area. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to change my grid settings here. So let's go over to the second tab to change our grid settings. I don't need to show my guides or snap to guides, but what I want to do is I want to go down here to spacing and divisions, and I'm going to change my spacing to 3 inches, and I'm going to change my divisions to 4. And I'm going to click on Show Grid, and that's going to give me that grid with that spacing of 3 inches and 4 divisions. So you can see my 4 divisions going vertically and horizontally. And of course my grid is checked. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this snap to grid is checked. So let's go ahead and check that. But what is snap to grid? So some of you might have become familiar with snap to grid if, like, say you were trying to draw something. And let's give that a color here, and maybe you're trying to move it around and it's just going all wonky on you. Well, that's the snap to grid at work. If you unsnap that, then you can move this anywhere you want. Let's delete that. The reason we want to have our snap to grid on is that when we draw on this area, it's going to constrain the object that we're making to this grid, or snap it literally to that grid. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to the tools bar, the drawing tools again, and I'm going to go to the shapes and I want to select a rectangle. So we're going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to start up here in the corner. Let's make our rectangle blue. And I'm going to start up here in the corner, and I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing my rectangle, and you can see that it wants to like snap to that grid. I want to bring it all the way out to the edge and down 2 squares, and that's going to give it a measurement of 6 inches wide and 1.5 inches high. So if you look up here in your quick access toolbar, you're 6 inches wide and you're 1.5 inches tall. And so now I want to duplicate this rectangle, and so I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to drag it down into this like 3rd position here, And we can actually close out that page setup panel. And now we have two rectangles that are snapped to our grid. Now we could grab the rectangle tool to start drawing our next rectangle, but I can do that right here. I can snap another one right in there. But an easier way maybe to do this is to go ahead and select both of these, group them, and then duplicate them. And if you hold down your Shift key, here's this green handle, and you can rotate things, right? But if I hold down my Shift key and I rotate, let's go to the counterclockwise direction, it'll snap at 45, and as I'm holding down my Shift key and I continue on, it'll snap at 90. Now this isn't the position I want it in. I want to slide it over so that it's against that left-hand side. So now you can see that we have our 4 different rectangles in these positions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all of this. Well, let's just wait a second. I want to make a square that is 6 by 6. So I'm going to go here to my Draw Rectangle tool again. And again, we're going to be able to snap. Let's make our rectangle white. I want to draw my white rectangle or white square in this box of my 6 by 6 media area. Drag it all the way to the side so that we know that it's exactly in that 6 by 6 media area. And now you can see that we have a width of 6 and a height of 6, and it's right exactly in the center of that 6 by 6 media area. So now, well, I can't see my blue rectangles. And what I want to do is send this this square to the back. So I'm going to go up here to my quick access toolbar, and I'm going to, right here is this little icon that sends this square to the back. Now the reason that I want that white square is because if I don't have that white square back here, instead of this being white, it's going to be clear. Now it might not look like it makes a difference on your page, but I feel like it makes a difference for the design. So let's go ahead and I'm going to mouse over and select all of this, and I want to turn off the line color for those objects. So I'm going to go up here to my line color, and I'm going to click on this little hashed area to turn off the line color, and now we don't have any line color around this at all. Now we're going to select this all again. Actually, let's not select all of it again. Let's go up here and we're going to select by color. So let's go and select by color, and I'm going to select by fill, and I'm going to choose just the blue. And then I'm going to go here to my fill panel, and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to bump up my transparency to 50%. So I can use the slider, or I can just mouse over this and type in 50. And you can see now that I have my blue squares on my blue rectangles on my white background, and where these are right here, where they overlap, we have a darker area because of that transparency change. So now I want to go ahead and I can change this to any color that I want. I could change it to orange, I could change it to green, I could change it to red. It's kind of a springtime color with blue. I'm going to select those blue rectangles again, and I'm going to go to my fill panel and I'm going to enter a custom color right in here. So let's say like I could change those to purple, or like I said, I could change them to red. I'm going to mouse over this and I am going to type in my custom color. I want just a little bit of a different blue for this nice springy fill pattern. So I'm going to type in 0F4C81 and I'm going to hit enter, and now I have my beautiful blue gingham pattern. Let's click off of that, and you can see there it might not look like much, but when you see what we do with it, it's going to change everything. So let's select all right here, and we're going to group that. And now we're going to go to File, up here on the left, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and we're going to make this a JPEG. I am working in Silhouette Studio Business Edition, but you should be able to save this as a JPEG also. And I'm going to call this Blue Gingham 1. Now I already did this, and so I'm just going to overwrite it, and it's going to be called Blue Gingham 1. So let's go OK. I'm going to replace it. And now I want this to be 300 dpi. So let's go ahead and mouse over that bottom box and go 300, hit enter, and save that as a JPEG at 300 dpi. So now, with that all done, I'm going to go over here to my library tab in Silhouette Studio, and you can see all these patterns. So like here's like all your files, and you can go down here to patterns. I'm going to go down to my file explorer down here, and I'm going to open that up, and I have that blue gingham right here at the top in my recent files, and I'm just going to drag that into my patterns. And now you can see down here in the corner my computer is syncing that to my Silhouette Studio. And now let's go back to our design tab. Let's open up a new page, and let's grab a rectangle. I'm going for now to choose like this light gray color so we can see it. And I'm just going to drag out a rectangle, and let's make that say 3, and unlock the proportions. We're going to make it 3 by 4. And I'm just going to sort of line this up to my grid, and let's zoom in here. And I want to do like a little bit of a flag at the bottom. So here we have 2 squares here, 2 squares here. I'm going to double click on this, which is going to open up my point editing panel. And when I do that, you can see that as I mouse into this, I can just add a point right here. And I think I do have an older video on how to point edit in Silhouette Studio if you want to check that out. But I'm just going to gently flag that area. And now we have sort of like a little bit of a banner going on here. Let's go ahead and draw a perfect circle. I'm going to just color it blue so you can see what happens here. Whoops, color it blue. I want to make that, let's lock the proportions and make it 0.25 and drag it over to our banner piece. And it's about in the center, but let's make sure we're going to mouse over both of them, and we're just going to go up here to our quick access toolbar, and we're going to align center, and it shifted it just slightly. So now if I select both of these and I go to my modify panel and I click subtract, it's going to knock that circle right out of there. And now this is all set to cut if I wanted to. And I could cut this out of, like, say, any color cardstock or anything that I want. But since we went to all the trouble of creating that pattern, let's go over here to our fill, and we're going to select the fill pattern, and we're going to scroll down until we find that blue gingham, and we're going to color our little flag that color, or that fill pattern. And now maybe this doesn't look very good, so we can go to this scale area and we can just bring this down so that we have those smaller squares that we like for our gingham pattern. And we can also pan that pattern so we can, you know, click on the positioning that we want. And let's say we wanted it right about there in the center, or we could do it so that it's offset a little bit. You know, whatever we prefer. And let's angle this to, you can change the angle here. Let's just mouse over this and angle it to 45. And now we have a really cute angled pattern. Now, we're all set. We could print and cut. We'd have to turn on our registration marks and things, but we're really ready to go. Now imagine how cute this would look if we had, say, like a little bunny cutout. I'm going to go to File, Merge, and I have a little bunny silhouette here. And I'm just going to size it down. And let's see, maybe we wanted to put a little circle behind the bunny, so let's go ahead and do that. Well, let's make that a pinkish color. That's a little bright, maybe. And then let's bring our bunny to the front. And you could see how that would look. You could make that into a print and cut, or you could just, you know, cut all the elements out and put them together for something a little bit more dimensional, I guess I want to say. But that's really how simple it is to make that gingham pattern in Silhouette Studio. So there you go. That's how you can create that gingham pattern right in Silhouette Studio. You don't need any special software or anything, just the one that you're using right now. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Silhouette Studio tips and design ideas. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video. Happy designing. Bye now.